Morrison tries to stay on track for a title shot. Super middleweight James Toney defends his world title. And we preview the Bowe Holyfield Heavyweight Championship rematch. Morrison, Michael Bent, Toney Thornton, live next on HBO.
A few things in life are guaranteed. For one, there's a new move.
The following is a special presentation of HBO Sports, celebrating 20 years of World Championship Boxing.
Championship Boxing. Live from Tulsa, Oklahoma, HBO Sports presents a doubleheader shootout. First, James Toney defends his IBF super middleweight title against Toney Thornton. Then Tommy Morrison, the WBO heavyweight champion, faces New Yorker Michael Bent. Plus a special preview of next week's heavyweight championship rematch between Riddick, Bowe, and Evander Holyfield, as both champion and challenger join us live from Las Vegas. So get up off your horse and pull up a chair. Get ready for a good old night of fighting. Friday night in Oklahoma. And if you know anything about this part of the world, you know this is high school football night with college games still to come tomorrow. But this one autumn Friday night is different. As tonight in Tulsa, the conversation centers around boxing. A native Oklahoman looks down the highway toward a potential heavyweight title shot. And HBO Sports presents a championship doubleheader. First, undefeated IBF super middleweight champion James Toney against Toney Thornton. That will be followed by WBO heavyweight champion Tommy Morrison fighting against another heavyweight, Michael Bent. The bout is scheduled for 12 rounds. In the Tulsa Civic and Convention Center, capacity around 9,000, more than 7,500 already on hand, and ticket buyers still walking in to fill the arena and root for native Oklahoman Tommy Morrison and to enjoy a rare night of championship boxing in Tulsa. Hello again, I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you to this Friday night edition of HBO's World Championship Boxing for a look at two fighters who look ahead toward possible bigger things here on HBO. Heavyweight Tommy Morrison with a potential bout against WBC heavyweight titleist Lennox Lewis coming up in 1994. And James Toney, the 168-pound champion, looking toward a possible fight with middleweight titleist Roy Jones beyond the turn of the year. Working with me as always, HBO boxing expert George Foreman. Nobody knows Tommy Morrison better, as Foreman fought against him this past April. George, all the discussion in the heavyweight division centers around a possible title unification battle between Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe. How close to those two is Tommy Morrison?
I think Morrison is a lot closer than people think. He's a sleeper. Nobody knows he's as good as he is. And because he can't be taken for granted, he can clean up this whole situation.
Of course, we're going to learn a lot more about that later tonight and next year. But first, before we see Tommy Morrison, we'll be looking at 168-pound titleist James Toney in a title defense. HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. Larry, Toney had been plagued by some in-and-out performances before his last appearance here on HBO, a devastating show against Iran Barkley. How good is James?
Well, right now I'd say he's very good. In a little while I might say he's outstanding, and beyond that he might go anywhere. He is that kind of a talent and that kind of a student of the game. That fight against Iran Barkley was worthy of the best old-style boxers, and it elevated him into a pound-for-pound class with a Pernell Whitaker or a Terry Norris or a Julio Cesar Chavez. Two fascinating things about Toney. The first thing is this. He has a reputation as a kind of volatile, tough-talking street kid, but he is a very intelligent, poised athlete. And secondly, he's one of those rare champions who improves as a champion largely because of his activity. He won the middleweight championship 2.5 years ago, and this will be his 14th fight since then, and he's got 3 more planned in the next 5 months. His opponent tonight, Toney Thornton, is a seasoned, tough professional out of the Philadelphia gyms, and he is capable of showing us Mr. Toney at his best. And this weekend of Halloween, that would be a treat.
All right, we're going to get right to it as the challenger, Toney Thornton, prepares to enter the ring. Originally, Toney was scheduled, and I say James Toney, was scheduled for a mandatory defense tonight against #1 ranked challenger Darren Van Horn. But Van Horn, the former Kentucky college student whose career is in a state of flux, moved aside, and that made room for this man. A journeyman who, in terms of skill, is probably a cut above that description. Toney Thornton comes into the ring for his 42nd professional fight. And as is almost always the case with a lesser-known challenger against a titleist like Toney under circumstances like this, it promises to be the biggest night, the biggest opportunity of his career.
Thornton is known as the punching postman, a veteran postman in Belmar, New Jersey, across the river from Philadelphia. Had a leave of absence without pay, taxpayers, so he could prepare for this fight. A good fighter whom Toney watched as a high school student.
Close, but never quite over the hump. The 5 losses, 4 of them have been in big-time opportunities on national or international television. Most recently, he went to England and fought against Chris Eubanks. A lot of people thought that he won the fight. He wound up losing a close decision. And now, here comes the unbeaten champion, James Toney. First defense of the title he won at 168 pounds. As Larry Merchant has already pointed out, he was a very busy champion, defending many times the title he won at 160 pounds with what is still the most memorable punch of James Toney's career, the left hook that knocked out Michael Nunn. You can see there, since 1989, when his career really got going, never fewer than 5 fights per year.
One of the things I like about Toney is that he dreams big. He says he wants to be the quarterback for the Detroit Lions. He himself was a high school quarterback, and that someday he wants to fight in the heavyweight division.
Well, I don't know if we need another heavyweight championship contender, and the Lions have plenty of quarterbacks, but maybe they'd be interested in James after they see the way he performs in the ring.
He thinks like an athlete in the ring, Jim. What his poise does for him is he doesn't panic. If he's behind, he stays in there. He gets the job done, whether it's in the first quarter or the last quarter.
Accompanied into the ring by his manager, one of the sport's leading ladies, Jackie Callan. There's the record: 39 wins, no losses, 2 draws, 26 KOs, including the big left hook that put away Michael Nunn a few years back when Toney was behind on the scorecards going into the 11th round. James Toney loves to present a rough-hewn, sinister image. He has a brand new baby daughter who softens that for him just a little bit, but he is never friendly with opponents. Tail of the tape for James Toney and Toney Thornton. And you can see that the biggest difference is in age, where the punching postman is 8 years older than the champion. It is said by many here that Toney struggled manfully to try to make weight at 168 pounds. He was just a little over yesterday before going onto the scale. A last-minute workout did the trick. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
Jim, the numbers are similar. Toney is the more accurate puncher, and of course, he has done this against a higher class of opposition. Once again, the jams are also similar. Thornton is an aggressive fighter, the kind of fighter Toney likes to fight.
And rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
James Toney and Tony Thornton will box tonight using the rules of the International Boxing Federation. 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count. No 3 knockdown rule. You cannot be saved by the bell in any round. Only the referee can stop the fight. And if a cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, and that cut causes the fight to be stopped, we go to the scorecards after 6 rounds have been completed. Before that, it's a technical draw. Jim?
Thank you very much, Harold. Right now, let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the Convention Center here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Where tonight, Top Rank Incorporated and Holden Productions, along with the undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, proud to be your bud, present a World Championship boxing doubleheader. Now, all the bouts tonight are approved by the state of Oklahoma, and Mr. Jim Hall, who is the boxing commissioner of the Office of Athletics in the state of Missouri, along with his staff, are assigned to ringside. They include physicians Dr. Ben Frank, Dr. Don Chumley, and timekeeper Carl Schubert. This bout is also sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation, President Robert W. Lee, IBF supervisor in attendance at ringside, Marion Mohammed of New Jersey. The scoring for the bout will be done on a 10-point must system, and the 3 judges assigned to ringside are Steve Epstein from Cromwell, Connecticut, Lucien Jobert from New Orleans, Louisiana, and Paul Weitzel from Portland, Oregon. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, referee, working for the 17th time in a world title bout from Detroit, Michigan, is Sam Williams. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the action started with 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Super Middleweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks with blue trim, weighing 167 pounds. He's the pride of the Delaware Valley from Glassboro, New Jersey, with a professional record of 35 victories, only 5 defeats with 1 draw. He has 25 KOs, ranked number 3 in the world, the challenger, Toney, the Punchin' Postman Thornton. And across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, his opponent, wearing the black trunks with white letters, weighing in at an even 168 pounds. He comes to us tonight from Ann Arbor, Michigan, undefeated with a record of 39-0 with 2 draws, 26 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undefeated IBF Super Middleweight Champion of the World, James Lights Out Toney.
All right, man, let's have a good one. I want you to watch your low blows, your kicking, your punches, and your head busts.
Now, all the bouts tonight are approved by the state of Oklahoma, and Mr. Jim Hall, who is the boxing commissioner of the Office of Athletics.
Take a full step back. Put your hands up to protect yourself at all times. In case of a knockdown, I'll send you to the furthest neutral corner. Remain there until I send for you. Good luck, man.
James Toney is wearing the latest fashion from the runways of Milano, but I don't think that'll help him or hurt him.
Clam bake pants. And gentlemen, I gotta say it, for the second time in less than a month, we are at a big night of boxing. We're not in Vegas, we're not in Reno, we're not in Atlantic City, and that in itself is a treat. This crowd is really happy to be here. Toney starts out with triple jabs. One thing about James Toney, George, he can be the counterpuncher or the aggressor with equal effectiveness.
The thing that I noticed most about Toney tonight, his body is a lot different than when I saw him last against a real big middleweight. His chin shakes a little bit, so he's going to realize in the 6th round he's going to be a lot different. It makes you want to punch more when your body is like that than just land and win points.
So you're suggesting that he might not be in quite the same condition we've seen him in the past?
Yeah, I'd see that he could be in shape, but his body just, you know, sometimes you can lag through training and everything is so easy you don't push yourself anymore. I think he's had one of those deals. Probably not up for this guy.
Well, he was originally scheduled to fight Darren Van Horn. Thornton is farther down on the list of contenders, though most people seem to believe that Thornton will present a tougher test than Van Horn would have been able to bring to this.
Thornton is well schooled, but when you go in against a champion like this, you can't have your mind on winning on points. You're going to have to get out there and drop this guy a few times. Thornton just doesn't seem to have that attitude from the first bell.
Nor on his record does he show that kind of punching power.
Attitude is something you got to jump in the ring with when you want to take the title from someone.
Well, you only need to spend about 10 minutes with Toney Thornton to realize this is a really nice guy. And that doesn't always go well with the need to be a destroyer in the ring. Good left hand by Thornton there, over the top. Chopping right hand misses. Thornton going to the body early and with some effect. Toney not as active now as he was in the first minute of the round.
Good right hand.
Landed. Yeah. Trading shots to the body, and Toney comes back upstairs to wing the left hook across the chin of Thornton. Another left hook lands for James Toney. Toney Thornton not phased, comes back with double rights. We'll take you to the corners between rounds as round one comes to a close.
All right, you jab this guy, you hook off with some of this jab. You can stick it, take a hook off with some of this jab. If it starts to bending, that's the uppercut. All right, this time, let me see you go to the body. Let me see you go to the body a little bit. But if he starts to bending, that's when you go for the uppercut. When you hit the uppercut, you come back to the left hook. But be alert. Be alert. Around the side. Okay. It's not in the head. Take it off. Take it off. Okay. You all right? Yeah. Okay, beautiful. You work beautiful that round. Hands coming back high, looking at it. Don't take your eyes off it, whatever you do, okay?
Make sure that water's up here next time.
Yeah. Huh?
Make sure the water's
in the
next
bucket. All right. Make sure it's in the bucket as it comes up.
You heard the very cool Thornton tell the cornerman to make sure he had the water up there the next time he got there. A little scolding for a cornerman from the fighter.
Yeah, and you know who that cornerman was?
His father.
His dad. So it's a little scolding for his dad. He didn't say, Dad, make sure the water's up here next time.
Now, Toney is probably trying to start too early with an uppercut, so his corners warned him to wait until the guy bends a little bit. And he's right. Uppercuts come only when the guy's down.
Toney Thornton's father is James Thornton. That's the man to whom we were referring.
Toney is such a good boxer, he sometimes could have that curse of being bored and sometimes you have to get up off the canvas to wake a guy like that up.
Well, that has been the pattern. Against lesser opposition, he is sometimes indifferent in his performance. Against the best fighters he's fought, he has been at his best. Now he tries to rally a little bit in round two. Thornton with the right hand over the top. James Toney going to the body as his trainer Bill Miller told him to.
when you're in the middleweights, you got to go a lot to the body because these fights go for 12 rounds, and the guy who's fresher in a lot of rounds can pull the thing out. The ones who land the most body punches generally are the one who can protect their lead if they got one.
You know, earlier I mentioned how intelligent Toney was, and you're watching him here follow his corner's instructions to the letter.
If he would wait until this guy bend and throw that uppercut, he surely would be to the letter.
There's the chance for the uppercut. And Toney throws it, but to the body.
Thornton is such a stand-up boxer, it's hard to get him a good left uppercut. You got to really get some good body shots.
Thornton given an opening for Toney's left side, lands it there, and then throws to the head. Landed the right hand above the ear. Toney Thornton coming forward. Not intimidated by the champion in any way. He's been in with good fighters. Pretty even matchup so far. Both guys showing counter-punching and aggression skills.
You don't often see fighters stand and fight on the inside at arm's length the way these fighters do anymore.
A very professional showing through the first 2 rounds for champion James Toney and challenger Toney Thornton. And waiting in his dressing room for his assignment later this evening, heavyweight Tommy Morrison. Tommy,
yes.
Big crowd here making a lot of noise. It should be a fun night for you in Tulsa.
Yeah, it should be something I've been looking forward to. Been trying to fight here for quite some time, and the opportunity presented itself, and we took advantage of it.
How many friends and family members in the house for you?
They're all friends and family.
So 7,500 is the answer to that, right?
Yes.
All right. We'll see Tommy Morrison a little bit later on this evening as he takes on Michael Bent, a stepping stone Morrison hopes toward his date with Lennox Lewis in early 1994.
Jim, although I have given Toney the first 2 rounds, Thornton is achieving the objective he told us about, which was to keep him very busy in the hopes that he would wind down later in the fight. It may just be a hope.
Through round 2 in the jab category. Thornton has thrown 31 jabs and connected on 15. James Toney has thrown by punch count numbers 110 jabs and landed 40 of them.
Toney's got a real stiff jab, unusually stiff for him these days.
James Toney standing straight in front of Toney Thornton and whacking away with jabs and rights. Good right hand across the top.
Get off his head. Get off his head.
The thing that Thornton should be doing is to get the king off the heel. Make him fight. Make him fight. You can't sit around and just win by beating Toney. You got to win the judges. And the way you do that is get this guy off of his throne.
George, James Toney is very adept at standing in front of an opponent and appearing to present a target when in fact he's moving, turning side to side, and taking that target away. He says he learned it from watching films of Sugar Ray Robinson.
He's got a good defense. There's no doubt about it. He stands right on it. He's got good balance. He doesn't have to move a long ways off to avoid punches. He stands right on the ball of his feet when he has to. But the challenger should get wild. When you can't get into a guy and penetrate his defense, get wild. Nothing wrong with it. You only fight for the title maybe once in a lifetime.
Fast combinations from both fighters. Toney Thornton still going to the body with discipline.
They haven't had a big fight in Tulsa for a long time, but already we can see that there are a lot of well-schooled critics in the audience. Doesn't take long to become an expert in boxing.
If Toney is doing the old Sugar Ray Robinson step and move and tight circle, and he's making this guy follow him around and right into his right hand, his kind of fight. You jab and you act as though you're moving away, but you circle.
The strange noise you hear is not a swarm of locusts. Plastic clappers have been passed out to everyone in the audience, and those plastic clappers en masse make the sound you're hearing. There's the uppercut Bill Miller asked for. And there's another look at James Toney taking the target away at short range.
But Thornton is starting to get a little wild, which is something he should have done earlier. Just throw punches. Doesn't matter how perfect you look. Win the fight.
Thornton got away with a low blow. Toney came back with 2 hooks to the body. Round 3, another professional exhibition.
Back this guy up. You letting him back you up. You ain't doing shit. I know this, but I want you to back him up. I know you ain't doing that much, but I don't want him to back you up. I want you to back him up. Walk through him like you walk through people like you.
Put your hands back high. Eyes on him all the time, right? Trying to sleep you now, bang, bang, bang. A couple of real fast punches, and what you're firing right back, which is good.
That gray-haired fellow is named Wesley Mouzon, who was a legend in Philadelphia because by the time he was 19 years old, he had knocked out the lightweight champion of the world in a non-title fight, Bob Montgomery, and had a draw with the great Ike Williams. In a return match with Montgomery, he suffered an eye injury that ended his career at the age of 19. Wesley Mouzon.
Now there's some problem with the gloves. Now the referee is examining the hole in the glove, and he should. That glove should be changed.
Referee Sam Williams showing us the hole in James Toney's left glove. And if it has to be changed, it's going to take a little while, George.
And if it doesn't, it can turn into a razor.
So here comes a Reyes left-hander. Thumb attached. You got to go back to Muhammad Ali against Henry Cooper a couple of decades ago to find the fight in which this was the critical turning point. And it is partially because the result of that bout that gloves are kept at ringside now so that they can be rapidly changed when one glove is damaged, as was the case. Of course, Henry Cooper cut so easily, George, that you like to believe that the great Muhammad Ali would have cut Henry Cooper with or without a flawed glove.
Yeah, but what happened in that fight, we learned later, was that Angelo Dundee, after Cooper had knocked Ali down at the end of the previous round, used a razor blade to cut the glove to get more time for Ali.
Which was real smart. Muhammad was out.
And
Cassius Clay at that time, he was out.
Right.
Henry Cooper was a hard left hooker. It'll be interesting to see if both fighters are listening to their trainers. The battle of wills upcoming, because Thornton has been doing a pretty good job of backing James Toney up. And Bill Miller has instructed Toney that he wants him to back Thornton up.
Which could be a mistake because Toney is a counter puncher by heart. So if he continues to back up Toney, he'll just get better and better.
There's a look at a couple of heavyweights, George.
Wow.
Riddick Bowe on the left, Evander Holyfield on the right. And coming up later on in the program, we'll be talking to both of those fighters as we preview their battle next Saturday night in Las Vegas. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Okay, and you?
Not doing too badly. Good. Pleasure to have you with us, and we look forward to talking to you later on. We're enjoying this super middleweight championship bout so far between James Toney and Tony Thornton, and they're just now getting ready to go again. You see Evander and Riddick watching together at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, and we'll visit them there between this bout and the Tommy Morrison-Michael Bent heavyweight bout later on. Now here we go with the beginning of round 4.
Toney continues the tight circle. Steps to the right just to give the illusion that he's not doing the same thing, and then he goes to the left.
And having gotten a little rest during that delay, both fighters come out punching sharply to begin round 4.
I think the delay caused Toney to kind of step up his pace a little bit and let him know that he was in the boxing match. It didn't help Thornton at all because he had a little edge going as far as being more active.
Toney still backing up, perhaps because, as you say, George, he's a natural counterpuncher.
Right, and not only is he's not truly backing up, he's using a tight circle. He gives the illusion that he's backing up, but he circles around, and next thing you know, you're in a position to be hit by a right hand by Toney. The old trick is to move once to your right, then keep circling back to your left.
He's not Thornton.
First time Toney bumped him with his shoulders like the old football player move. Once you establish that you're the stronger, the other guy respects you a little earlier.
Yeah, and if you can time that move correctly, you can set up an uppercut or a left hook. You have a lot of options coming off of it.
You bump and do it.
There's a right hand by Toney. A lot of leather in this round. Both fighters looking pretty sharp.
Toney has got one thing in mind, to move to make this guy follow him and then turn that right hand over and drop it.
James Toney, one of the most active champions in recent years in the sport of boxing, is not always at his best. When we've seen him against fighters like Mike McCallum and Iran Barkley, he was terrific. Against the Dave Tiberies of the world and the Doug DeWitts of the world, he was not always great. And tonight against Toney Thornton, who has been brought in with several weeks' notice, but as a substitute for Darren Van Horn, Toney appears at some times to be going through the motions.
Ready to take this fight over? All right, let's take this fight over now. Let's start dominating this man. Yeah.
Harold Letterman, give us your scorecard.
Larry, 40-36. 4 rounds to nothing, favorite of champion James Toney. Larry, I got to tell you, it's really not an exciting fight. But James Toney's doing more. He seems to be getting off first. He's taking a fight to Toney Thornton. And unless Toney Thornton hurts him, Toney Thornton's just not going to be able to stop James Toney. I mean, James Toney's landing those jabs, hooks, combinations. Thornton just hasn't hurt him. I think it's all James Toney.
Agreed.
Missed a couple to the ball.
Last night in this arena,
there's no doubt in my mind that Toney is well ahead as far as the points are concerned, because the challenger doesn't seem to want it bad enough.
Larry, last night in this arena,
George Strait, the country and western singer, performed. And I guess some of these Oklahomans wish he was still here at this point in the show.
Well, I think they're underrating the bout. I think it's a little better fight than they're giving it credit for on those occasions when they booed.
I agree with you. This is, you know, it's world-class stuff. And Toney is not a big, paralyzing puncher.
Well, this is boxing. We're watching two guys employing the art of boxing. This crowd went crazy earlier when we had a preliminary bout between two rank amateurs fighting as professionals who wailed away wildly at each other for 6 rounds. And the crowd loved that.
They hailed, they butted.
Well, it's their money, and they can see it any way they want.
But this is what happens when you get two skillful, experienced fighters together. First thing is protect. Then secondly is just to win and go home with your paycheck. Thornton, I see, is starting to bend forward a bit more, which could be dangerous because Toney has wanted that right uppercut all night.
Well, most knowledgeable experts for the past few days here have been saying that this fight goes 12 rounds, and we've seen nothing early to indicate anything other than that.
Toney is starting to find his combinations, and once that gets started, I think the referee may have to step in.
Now, what do you mean by that, George?
All night he's not able to land 2 good shots. He lands 1 good shot, but not 2. But now he's starting to land 1 and 2. If he ever gets the 3s together, it could be a terrible night for Thornton.
Solid left hand by Thornton.
And I think he poked
his tracks.
I think he poked him in the eye.
Well, something has happened to James Toney because suddenly he doesn't throw. Maybe he was playing possum as he tries to break out with a combination and catches Thornton with a couple of right hands. Nothing really devastating, though. Both men very adept in the art of self-defense.
That was a 1-2. If Toney is able to get that 3 in, the whole night changes. But Thornton is starting to fight the fight he should have fought in the first round. Get wild.
A little better, but we can give him more than that. Can't we? All right, well, let me see it. We can give him a little more than that there. We give him something to think about. When you're hitting with that right hand, I want you to come back with that left hook. And them jabs you hit me with, break off of them, some of them down there, or break off on top.
Now let's see if we can show you that punch that landed right on the eye and turned Toney around. The leather penetrating the eye socket momentarily, but he pulled himself together immediately.
A couple of good right hands that round. So I think he's 0 on that on that. The protection after your right hand. Bang, bang. Short hook. And your knees. All right? Keep it working underneath, back, under, over. Under, over. Okay. Hands coming back high. High.
Round 6 of the scheduled 12. James Toney in the black trunks defending his IBF World Super Middleweight Championship, 168-pound title, against number 4 contender Toney Thornton, the punching postman from Glassboro, New Jersey.
Toney's trainer told him to do the 1, 2, 3, but Toney doesn't like the waist shot. He's waiting until he can see the 1, 2, 3.
For most of the night, they've traded jabs or traded body shots. A lot of leather being thrown. Occasional boos from the crowd, which had hoped for something a little bit wilder and more raucous.
To dethrone a fighter like James Toney, you got to have more enthusiasm than experience. Because he seems to function good if you throw punches right by the book.
I think you're right, George. James Thornton, or I should say Toney Thornton, isn't going to lift the title this way.
No, he's got to go away and get himself and get dethrone the champion by being wild.
Got a left hook in there. But he didn't think he had done any damage.
And that's what happened with the fighters as the years come in. They don't lose anything but enthusiasm to get out there and be a kid again.
Well, and to be honest, this guy's got a family, lovely wife, couple of beautiful children, good job with the post office. 10 years in toward his 30-year lifetime pension with the Postal Service. Why should he get hurt?
But you got to say to yourself, do I want to say it to my kids that I fought for the title, or should it be said I won the title?
That's a good point, George, but I think he's trying to, like, where they don't have a boxing commission, the timekeeper
the title.
That's a good point, George, but I think he's trying like hell. Just can't do any better.
Let's go. Don't catch me, boy. All right, let's take over. Let's take over this fight now. Let's take this fight over. It's time for us to make a move. We don't want to let this guy back in this fight. All right.
Still to come later tonight, Tommy Morrison against Michael Bent. Morrison hoping to take another step toward his potential matchup with Lennox Lewis for the WBC Heavyweight Championship in early 1994. Michael Bent, the former amateur star, hoping to spring the upset which would, for the moment, make his professional career. Right now, we are watching that man, James Toney, defending his 168-pound championship against Tony Thornton. And gentlemen, here in Oklahoma, where they don't have a boxing commission, the timekeeper has just confirmed to us that, by mistake, round 6 was a 2.5-minute round, not a 3-minute round.
And nobody was disappointed.
Toney is starting to pick up his rhythm with his jab now. More jabs.
Thornton blocking a lot of the jabs and throwing the jab right back. The two men counterpunching, trading shots at close range. Both of them blocking a lot of punches because they're skilled in the art of self-defense.
The thing about being in the middleweights, this is where all the skill is. But you take for granted that the guy doesn't have power also, you land up on the canvas. So you're going to see a lot of skill here and the potential of one devastating punch.
Well, Toney has that potential. James Toney in the black trunks. He's the man who, in the biggest moment of his career, floored Michael Nunn with one sensational left hook. And stepped up from contender to champion at that moment in Davenport, Iowa.
You have a lot of skill. Muhammad Ali was aware years ago that he had a lot of skill, and he wasn't going to take a lot of guys out. So he started to put other things like the shuffle and fast hand movement, just so the crowd would not lose interest in what he was doing.
What an outstanding counter-puncher James Toney is, George. I mean, even though he takes that left hand over the top there, you can just see him watching Tony Thornton launch and immediately deciphering what his next punch should be.
But the crowd kind of loses interest because they don't see all the technical stuff.
A lot of them have lost interest.
Muhammad would have started something.
Where is he tonight? Let's get him in here.
So a good boxer needs something else with his show. Thornton is making a mistake of when Toney gets him a good shot, I'll hit you back. It's never vice versa.
Keep him up, Thornton.
Whatever Toney does to Thornton, Thornton does back to Toney.
Seven rounds complete. 5 to go.
We're keeping this fight entirely too close. We do not want to leave this thing in the hands of these judges. You hear me? You know these judges. Now we got to go out now. We got to fight.
Harold Letterman, 7 rounds. How do you see it?
Larry, 5 rounds to 2, 68-65, James Toney. He's landing the better shots, showing us good defense. The problem with this fight is James Toney lands 1 or 2 good shots, stops, looks at him, lands 1 or 2 good shots, stops, looks at him, and this is the pattern of the fight. He's looking too much and not taking the offensive.
I disagree. I think Toney is fighting like Toney, and how good he looks because of the kind of fighter he is depends on the opponent, as in most cases. And Thornton has got himself very wired to give his absolute best, and he's an awfully good, well-schooled fighter.
I've got some fried chicken over here. Anybody want some?
That's my chicken.
Well, George, you didn't go for it.
I did. I had a piece. Now, Toney's corner told him to get out there, look for a knockout, and he's doing it. But I got a feeling he shouldn't be too aggressive looking for a knockout. Let it come to him.
He was doing fine, doing what he was doing before. Do you suppose Bill Miller is interested in pleasing the crowd?
Yeah, he told him, don't be careful with the judges. You get a title. The one thing you don't want is the judges to take it away from you. If it's taken, you want to lose it yourself by way of a punch.
Good point, and we're in a situation where these are not judges accustomed to judging championship fights.
And as you said, this is not even, they have no true commission here.
That's right, the Missouri State Commission is supervising the evening. Tempo slowing a little bit in round 8.
Like Harry Letterman said, he saw 2 rounds go to Thornton. I didn't see that. So maybe some judges saw maybe half of that.
Well, Harold will be holding a clinic on scoring later, George. You and I are already reservists.
Now, Toney is getting a good left hook in by now.
Toney going more and more to the left hook, so too does Toney Thornton.
Toney was able to see to this left jab of his. I saw him watching, turning Thornton's face to the left, which means he's able to come back with a hook if he lands 2 jabs. That's the hook. Good right hand, a straight right hand by Toney.
And the left hook over the top. And suddenly James Toney's power punches are sharper and more accurate than has been the case for a few rounds.
Yeah, I think his corner said something to wake him up this time. You don't want to leave it in the hand of the judges.
Toney Thornton, whom I described earlier as such a nice guy, lands a solid left after the bell.
You know, that's about the first round that you let the guy get away with. Okay. I don't want that to happen anymore. When you take these rounds, you on in all of them, all right? You're laid on the rope a little too much. I know you're looking at him, he wasn't getting hit that much, but you got hit more. You hear me? We're fighting. Let's go. Let's go. Let's bite down. We don't want no close fight. All right. We don't want no close fight. Let me see. Back this man up and punish him. Baby. All right. Put him in there. Let's go.
Let's take it out.
Bite down. Never heard that one before. George, what have you heard in the corner with the corner people trying to urge you on?
They don't say bite down because they know that's the wrong terminology for me.
Yeah, that's right.
I take it literally.
George will go right into this bag of chicken if you tell him to bite down.
He think you're telling him to eat the other guy, right?
Limb by limb. Round 8, James Toney's biggest round, according to punch stat numbers. Threw 105, landed 45. Toney Thornton threw only 58 punches in the same stanza.
Toney is cautious to land a lot of shots, but he likes to make sure that he keeps the same amount of stamina throughout the fight. He doesn't want to be out of gas in one round.
They stand and trade in the center of the ring, and it's Toney Thornton who ultimately backs up. Generally, that tells you that James Toney is landing the heavier punches. Boy, did Thornton land a right hand right on the kisser.
Sometimes when you fight a guy like Thornton who spent so many years and hours in the gym, you can't stand around and just jab and trade jabs. You got to put power in there.
Left hook by James Toney hurts Thornton. Thornton standing still on the rope, now tries to throw back a third straight left hook. That one was light.
He is fighting down.
Yep, he fights down. Left, James Toney landing some solid shots. But Toney Thornton is an experienced 12-round fighter. Took heavy blows from Chris Eubanks last year.
After a while, you understand that he just hit me with 7 good shots, but now he's got to take in some oxygen. You understand that in boxing in the middleweights. It ain't going to happen all the time, and the guy's got to reach back into the bag of, I need some wind now. So Toney landed some good shots, but he had to go back and get a little oxygen.
Round 9 comes to a close, and James Toney momentarily wobbled Toney Thornton, but was unable to follow up. Still to come this evening, a full preview of the Riddick Bowe Evander Holyfield Heavyweight Championship match taking place next Saturday night in Las Vegas. We will talk live to both fighters who, as you see, are standing by waiting for us right now in Las Vegas. That comes up between fights, and then following the Bowe Holyfield preview, we will have Tommy Morrison against Michael Bent in a 12-round heavyweight matchup here. Larry Merton, take us through that left hook assault by James Toney.
This is one of the biggest, cleanest punches he's landed in the fight, a left hook right in here. And this is his best or most dramatic rally. And it looked like he had Thornton in trouble, but Thornton was just trying to weather that fierce little storm. I'll tell you one thing, fellas, that mailbag is going to seem awful heavy, Mr. Thornton, when he goes back to the mail route on Monday.
He'll have some money in his pocket, though.
This is his second $100,000 purse.
This is the first round I've seen Toney fake. He fainted. And Thornton went for the fake, which means something is hurting somewhere.
Well, or it could simply mean that since Toney's never faked him before, he was unprepared for it. I mean, think about it, George. We're in round 10.
Yeah, the first fake. He first decided to fake it.
Does James Toney look to you as though he took the opponent lightly?
I think so. He's finding out that the guy is skillful. He cannot put together 4 or 5 accurate punches because the guy has a good defense. It'll drive you nuts knowing that you are a better fighter than this, but you can't get the shots in.
Leaving aside the people in his corner, do you think that Toney, the fighter, came here tonight ready to be satisfied with a 12-round decision?
I think so. He had no intentions of trying to end this fight by way of knockout. He was bored from the onset.
I think that's the way he always fights. He always goes out looking to win the fight, and if the knockout comes, it comes. He has a low percentage of knockouts for an outstanding fighter. He doesn't mind going the distance. He likes to punish his opponents across the distance.
Toney heating up again, and Thornton comes right back at him. Crowd gets a rare treat.
Like that elbow.
Most of the members of this crowd not anxious to appreciate the level of boxing artistry they've been watching, and it is considerable.
Now, early on, Toney was able to get in some good left hooks to the body, so now Thornton may land some shots, but truly there won't be any sting to them as he could have had in the earlier round.
He doesn't appear at any moment in the bout, George, as though he's been able to hurt James Toney, because he's landed a lot of stuff.
Those left hooks to the body takes a lot of heat off those punches.
Three-punch combination by Toney. Tried to finish off with the right hand. Now here he comes again. Toney up, bouncing on his toes. Way short with that right. And Toney up, bouncing on his toes. Way short with that right.
Toney is trying to set traps for a straight right hand. Turns his body, fakes like he's going to walk away. Anything to get that right hand on top.
His hand speed is pretty special for a 168-pounder, George.
And I think it could have been a lot better if he trimmed down the right way and not just went out and stopped drinking water.
Around the side, I want you to hit him on the arm with that fucking punch, okay?
Well, let him in 10 rounds. How do you see it?
Larry, 8 rounds to 2. 98-92 in favor of the champion James Toney. He's just out punching Tony Thornton from here to tomorrow. He's in complete control, landing the cleaner, harder shots, showing us good defense. But I tell you, if he pick up the pace a little bit, I honestly believe he could deck Thornton.
All right. Give me 6 minutes. I got to have it.
All right.
Go to work on it. Look at, I got to have it. I need these 6 minutes. Let's go. Let's have it. Let me have it. Fight him for 6 minutes. Show him what it means to be in there with a man. Take him out. Everything's all right. Looking at him, eyes on him all the time, and bang him around the side.
Round 11. For the fighter who has the sport's only corner woman, James Toney. Manager Jackie Callan leans in over the ropes and puts in her 2 cents, occasionally between rounds.
Let me tell you, her 2 cents is a lot more valuable than 2 cents. She motivates this kid and let him know that she didn't bring him over here just to show up. She wants him to people to go home and say, we saw Toney.
That's a good point, George. They have a terrific relationship. She has meant a lot to him, and she's done a great job of steering his career so far.
I'm wondering what Roy Jones is thinking as he watches this. There are some indications that Jones isn't as eager to fight Toney mid-next year as some negotiations have suggested, and we're just wondering maybe whether this changes his mind, what his thoughts are exactly.
This shouldn't change his mind.
Isn't changing his mind?
No, I don't think so, because Toney is doing what he wants to do in that ring right now.
And he's starting to open up and throw more power shots here in round 11. Crowd warms to the occasion. James seems to be thinking maybe a late knockout would give this crowd something to feel good about. Landed the uppercut.
A young fighter has to learn earlier that there's some guys you're not going to knock out. And Toney learned this maybe a lot earlier than he should have.
He's done well with it so far, though.
He wins boxing matches. He controls it, but he never throws himself away.
So you're saying his chances of becoming a superstar in the eyes of the public are going to be limited by this style.
That's true. It's going to take a certain style to make him look good. And there aren't that many middleweights with that kind of style to make Toney look good.
Roy Jones.
No way. He's a counterpuncher. It's not going to look nice.
Right hand across the top landed for Toney. Thornton comes back with lefts of his own. Both fighters landing. Both fighters throwing professionally. Neither one seemingly able to hurt the other. To go in the IBF super middleweight bout between James Toney and Toney Thornton.
I got to have 6 minutes. I asked for 6 minutes. Can you give me 6? Give me 3 now. I don't need but 3. This is the last round, baby. This is the last round. Let's go out there this time and fight this sucker all the way. This round.
Okay? And I don't want you to let him win this. All right? I want your hands coming back high. I want you to get everything snapping. But when you get inside, I want to fire that right hand. You hit him on the shoulder, hit him on the arm, hit him around the body. Okay? Lift it up. I need this round. See, I need this round. This is the last round. Ain't no more tomorrow. Okay. You're going to have to out-hustle and pressing, stay on top. The minute that you bend, fire. The minute that you bend, fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is round number 12. This is the call.
Round 12 begins on the 4 previous occasions in his career when he had a chance to go 12 rounds. Toney Thornton made it the full distance every time and lost the decision every time. He appears to be headed down that same road.
It's so hard to get 3 shots in on him. And in the middleweight, 1 shot, 1 punch just doesn't do it. You hit him with a good right hand and the hook isn't there. You hit him with a good hook and the right hand isn't there.
All those great Sugar Ray Robinson knockouts with the left hook were set up jab, right hand, then left hook.
And he could do it like no other. Maybe Sugar Ray Leonard.
And he didn't do it every time either, guys.
No.
Nobody does it every time.
But it made it so interesting when they weren't doing anything.
James Toney, if he gets the decision here, is tentatively scheduled to meet Tim Littles of Southfield, Michigan in January. That's a mandatory defense of this title. Littles is a terrific-looking athlete who's not very aggressive as a fighter, and that fight doesn't promise it to be terribly exciting either. So the public waits for Toney against Roy Jones.
There's that right hand.
One at a time, though.
Yeah, you just can't get 2 together because you got to sneak it in so quick.
The punching postman lands a couple of lefts. And round 12 looks like almost all of its predecessors. You got to be a purist to appreciate the stamina, the technique, the artistry that we've seen over the course of these past 12 rounds. This was a boxing match. to a chorus of boos in Tulsa.
But Toney did try for a knockout on several occasions. This guy's tough that he's fighting.
Like I said, a 12-round fighter. He proved it again.
Okay, Joe. All right, man.
Tony Thornton smiling widely at the end. Hard for me to imagine that he believes he won the fight, and that tells you something.
I'd hate to be a postman, some guy down the street thinking he can whip a postman.
Well, he would win the all-postman competition. I feel fairly certain about that without having seen many of the other fighting postmen.
And he can knock out a few guys on
National
the street.
Boxing Postman's Tournament. I make him the favorite.
Hey, what's up, baby? Did it again. Come on, baby. You looking good.
Stay with us. Still to come, we've got the Bowe Holyfield preview. Interviews with both Riddick, Bowe, and Evander Holyfield sitting live in Las Vegas. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Then Tommy Morrison will thrill this crowd simply by entering the ring against Michael Bent. And right now, let's go to Michael Buffer for the official decision in this fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Steve Epstein scores the bout 118 to 110. Lucien Joubert scores it 116 to 112. And Paul Weitzel scores it 118 to 110 for the winner by unanimous decision. And still, super middleweight champion of the world, James.
Just about what we would have expected, I think. Unanimous decision for Toney. A legitimate boxing exhibition by the champ. We look at final punch stat numbers, and you can see that Toney landed more than 100 more blows, according to our punch stat computations. Threw over 1,000 punches in what was a very busy fight for him. And that percentage graphic is obviously not correct. Make it 41% for Toney to 39% for Thornton. Jabs, both fighters threw a lot of jabs. More than 500 in Toney's case. He didn't land as high a percentage of them as Toney Thornton. Neither man ever really had the other guy deeply in trouble. And now Larry Merchant stands by with the champion, James Toney. Larry.
All right, James, congratulations. Why was it so difficult even to get this guy in trouble?
Yeah, it was awkward. You know, first thing I want to say hello to everybody back at home. The dog pound back in Ann Arbor. I want to say hello to Barb. She's sick. I hope she gets better. Marge, Jackie's mother, hope she gets well. And Beverly Miller, she said, I hope she gets well. I love everybody back at the crib. West Side, baby. West Side. West Side.
All right.
My boy Snoop, Dre,
okay,
what up?
That's the commercial. Let's have the show now.
Yeah, you go.
Why was he so difficult?
Tony Thornton is a tough fighter. You know, he's been around for a long time. You know, a good experienced guy. He's been with the best. But, you know, I am the best. You know, he beat Chris Eubanks, but I beat him decisively tonight. Can't nobody argue that.
Why do you think fans boo that kind of performance?
I don't know. You know, I punched the guy full of holes for 12 rounds. What do you think?
Well, they're looking for blood and drama.
Oh, he got blood under. They couldn't see him close. He doesn't mouth in his nose. But, you know, the guy's blood.
All right. Tell us about
a win. Undefeated, baby. Still the best pound for pound around.
Tell us about
tomorrow, baby. Your turn. Turn off the show in Vegas.
All right. Tell us about Roy Jones. Your feelings about fighting Roy Jones.
Oh, hey, bring him on. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready for him. You know, I'm not going to wait too long for him because, you know, kind of hard for me to make the 168 pound. But, you know, I give him to June. Put up a shut up, baby. Don't whoop your ass when I fight you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Hey, you know what?
James.
It's my job now. HBO. Oh.
All right, Jim.
I'm taking Larry Merchant's place. George.
Just had to do it one time. All right, thanks very much, Larry and James Toney, I should say. So Toney successfully defends his IBF Super Middleweight Championship. The crowd lets you know how they felt about that boxing match. And coming up, our preview of next week's most important fight, one of the most important of the year, the heavyweight title match, Bowe and Holyfield.
What a round! What a fight! This really is quite amazing astonishing sporting theatre that you're watching.
Nationalities may differ.
Oh, oui! Oh, il est perdu droit! Et Holyfield va Evander. Son 16e reprise. Et Holyfield va Evander. Son 16e reprise.
Analogies may differ. The languages may be foreign to the ear.
Direto de direita de Holyfield, bom direto do campeão, o outro de esquerda.
And the political ideologies may clash. But in 1992, there was universal agreement from nearly 100 nations around the world that the Evander and Holyfield Riddick Bowe heavyweight championship bout was one of the best title fights in recent years. Now, 51 weeks to the day after their last meeting, these two warriors prepare to face one another again. One plans to repeat. The other seeks revenge. Tonight, in a special preview, we'll relive and dissect their historic 10th round battle from 1992. This round should be greeted with a standing ovation at the end. It's seen the best of both men. Round 10 continues after the bell.
It was 3 of the most thrilling, frightening, exhilarating minutes that I've ever spent in my life.
And we'll take a look at how each of their lives has changed since that memorable November evening.
Don't you bite me. Who'd ever thought that I would have the opportunity or the honor to meet the Pope? So I got me some horses to start riding, got my motorcycle to start riding. I just had a ball.
Joining us live from Las Vegas to discuss next week's championship fight will be the combatants themselves, Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield. Repeat or revenge? We'll examine the matchup. They met on November 13, 1992. If you saw it and you are a boxing fan, you'll never forget it. It was one of the most intense and high-spirited heavyweight championship battles of recent decades. What most of us will remember is the 3-minute mano-a-mano that punctuated the fight, the unforgettable round number 10.
It was 3 of the most thrilling, frightening, exhilarating minutes that I've ever spent in my life.
Suddenly you had spontaneous combustion.
These two men came back and back and back again.
I just decided that then and there that it was time for Evander Holyfield to go.
Round 10 begins.
The first jab that hits him that round sends him halfway across the ring.
As I was stepping back, I dropped back my hand down and he threw an uppercut, which hurt me. And from that point on, I was on a survival roll.
Bowe sends him with an uppercut, and just like that, the champion struggles to stay on his feet.
I had one foot up on the stairs, maybe top of him getting hurt.
I started thinking this guy has no respect for Evander Holyfield, this Riddick Bowe. He's going to knock him out.
What a hard fight, Holyfield. He's going to stay on his feet. He's hanging in there.
He had knocked Evander from pillar to proverbial post.
I thought that the only thing I can do to better that performance was knock Evander Holyfield out. It's not as easy as a lot of people think. He was determined. He didn't want to be knocked out.
Bowe throwing and throwing. Holyfield somehow standing up.
He blew the knockout that round. He should have set him up for a big shot by a series of small shots. He blew it because he became over anxious.
Sooner or later, I knew that he was going to give out because he wasn't hurting me in it. Well, of course, he wants you to believe that because he was the one that gave me behind kick.
And Holyfield weathers the storm and comes back throwing.
It now became Evander's round.
When he thought he had me, I was probably at my strongest when people thought I was at my weakest.
I felt like there was a possibility that Riddick had run out of gas.
Look at Holyfield. What a warrior. Reversing the tide of the battle. The champion now has Bowe wobbling.
Here was a man who could endure all of this and come back. And God knows the public and the writers love a comeback.
The next minute and a half, he did a number on Riddick Bowe, and I thought sure that this guy was going to crumble. He didn't crumble.
Everybody in the Thomas and Mack Center on their feet. It doesn't bother both
he really couldn't put a serious dent into Bowe. He was landing punches against a tired guy. The tired guy wasn't even blinking.
You could see Bowe growing into the task and learning a little bit about being that kind of a war.
That's the round that Riddick Bowe became heavyweight champion of the world. He met the moment of truth, and he stood up to it.
This round should be greeted with a standing ovation at the end. It's seen the best of both men.
You don't see these kind of rounds with heavyweights usually, because when a heavyweight usually gets you in that kind of trouble, there is no comeback.
The ebb and flow made that round one of the greatest heavyweight rounds I'd ever seen.
Right hand by Holyfield. And another. Round 10 continues after the bell.
He hit me with that shot, but I'm still there. I'm hitting him with my best shot, and he was still there. If you can recall, at the end of the round, I gave Evander Holyfield a little pat on the stomach, saying, you know, good round. I was rather impressed with him. When Evander boxed, like, you know, I box, right? So after the 10th round, you know, I needed some water.
And joining us now live from Las Vegas, where they've been seated and waiting for this now for about an hour, both of the principals in next Saturday night's rematch. Riddick Bowe, the champion on the left, Evander Holyfield, now the challenger on the right. I'll start with you, Riddick. Was it always your assumption, despite the twists and turns of boxing business and the brief announcement on the part of Evander after the fight that he was probably going to retire, was it always your assumption that there was going to be a Bowe Holyfield rematch?
Well, I've thought about it, but actually, I guess Evander, you know, actually made it happen again. You know, Evander is a great warrior. He brings the best out of me, and so I welcome the challenge.
We know what his motivation is. He wants revenge. What is your particular motivation going into this fight?
I guess to constantly to prove that, you know, I'm the best. I know he wants revenge, but it won't happen.
Evander, you said many times since the fight 51 weeks ago that you thought you won it. Now, it's hard to find anybody else in the sport of boxing who agrees with you. Do you still believe in your heart that you beat Riddick Bowe that night?
Well, that really don't matter. I'm getting an opportunity to redeem myself, and I thank God for giving me the opportunity.
You had so much success in your years with George Benton and Lou Duva as co-trainers. Why the change to Emanuel Stewart?
Well, at the time when I decided to come back, they were working with Michael Moore, and I understand that they were backing Michael Moore 100%. So it gave me an opportunity to choose someone. So when I made the choice to choose someone, then I had to choose someone who would teach me. Not teach me, but remind me of the style that I need to have to defeat Riddick Bowe.
And some would say that it's an unusual stage of your career to be changing styles. Don't you think that going from Benton and Duva to Emanuel Stewart means a fairly dramatic change in style for you?
Well, not really, because in a coach, you know that the point of being able to teach a guy that been boxing for 23 years, the guy got to already know how to do certain things. And Emmanuel's reminding me of the things that I really need to do. It's not like I don't know how to jab. It's not like I don't know how to throw right hand. It's not like I've never been busy. These are the things that he reminds me of. These are the things that I have to do to win the fight.
Riddick, do you suspect that under the tutelage now of Emanuel Stewart, Evander is likely to be a much different fighter now than he was a year ago?
The only thing I can tell you is that if he don't have King Kong in there with him, he's in trouble. Regardless.
Well, he's not going to have King Kong, but he will have Emanuel Stewart. Do you think that'll make him a different fighter?
I don't believe so. I think, again, as Evander said, he's been fighting for quite some time, and he's setting his ways. So I think Evander's going to come out fighting and be Evander.
Riddick, does it bother you at all? Does it give you any uncertainty to have had less than 3 rounds, less than 6 minutes in the ring with live opponents since a year ago?
Not at all. I would say that, that would only indicate that I'm a much better fighter now, if I can knock us out in 2 or 3 rounds.
Evander, one last question for you before we go to another feature piece. Are you satisfied with your performance against Alex Stewart in the one fight you've had since the Bowe fight?
Well, yes, I'm satisfied. I was able to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, and that was able to stick to a game plan that for me to win, not so much of me to go in and just go toe-to-toe to knock Alex Stewart out. I had a plan, and I did want to knock him out, but I wanted to knock him out boxing more so than going in there going toe-to-toe.
All right, gentlemen, both of you stay right where you are. We're going to come back and talk to you one more time. But before we get to that second conversation, let's take a look back at what has happened to both fighters in the intervening year.
Who'd ever thought that I would have the opportunity or the honor to meet the Pope? And so I guess I had to pinch myself a couple of times to see if it was actually real.
I fell about three or four times on the motorcycle, threw off the horse, ran into the fence. I had a great time.
And new heavyweight champion of the world. On November 13, 1992, Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe began contrasting year-long journeys. One turned inward. The other set his sights on the world.
Throughout my life, even as a kid, I always wanted to be the center of attention. But to be quite honest with you, I guess now I bit off more than I can chew.
Riddick Bowe, the 12th of 13 children, had escaped from the crime-ridden neighborhood of his youth to return triumphant.
Who would have thought that me, I would have a Riddick Bowe day throughout New York City. That will always be a day that I'll never forget.
Feel better now, Daddy?
From the streets of Brooklyn to Madison Avenue, everybody loves a heavyweight champion.
Please welcome the newest undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the Brooklyn's own Riddick Bowe.
Riddick, Big Daddy, Bowe. Riddick Bowe. But fame and money brought unusual new problems.
You got cousins in Japan that all of a sudden want to be family. And you tell them in a nice way that, my money's tied up, which it is. And I just can't give you $500,000 right now.
Riddick's generosity did extend to the world at large, where as America's newest goodwill ambassador, he gave a robe to South African hero Nelson Mandela, donated a pair of boxing gloves to the Pope, and brought some love to Somalia, an experience that left the deepest impression of all.
That experience, it just moved me. What I was holding in my arms was another human life. If somebody or someone didn't take care of that baby sometime soon, then eventually the little baby would perish.
Back at home, the champion accepted minimal time in the ring. Unchallenged in his 2 title defenses, Bowe's work for the year lasted less than 3 rounds. 5 minutes, 36 seconds. And that's it.
The most fun thing that happened to me this year, you might not consider it to be fun, but 2 or 3 weeks ago, my wife told me we was expecting our 4th child. Perhaps that's the best news I got all year. See, I thought I was just home, eating up everything, getting fat. I was on my job.
Come on, put your big head in here. Don't you bite me.
Evander Holyfield's year, since he relinquished his crown, has taken him away from the crowds and the spotlights.
So I got me some horses, start riding, got my motorcycle, start riding. I just had a ball, went bowling every day. They did everything that my heart designed.
That included firmly rooting himself in his 104-acre ranch. But mostly this has been a year devoted to refocusing himself by getting to know his children.
My oldest son is 9 years old, and I said this year I spent more time with him this year than probably his whole life. When I came home, he was still crying, and he said, "Daddy, you lost." Like he couldn't believe that I could lose. And I had to explain to him that, a lot of times it might not be good enough for somebody else, but you got to realize that the most important thing is to do your best.
Evander considered retirement, hired a rapper as a promoter, changed trainers, and came back with an unimpressive win over Alex Stewart. Despite his return to the ring, the year brought him a renewed appreciation of much that he had missed during his long climb to the top.
I guess being older and a little bit more mature, I can appreciate the land, appreciate the walking around, and I can appreciate being by myself. My daughter always tells me, "I love you, Daddy," for no reason. The championship is just another obstacle in my life, but the love that I get from my kids is the world. Without their love, I don't really have nothing, because the fact that they are what I work hard for.
The ball is hot. Move it, move it. And now their year ends with their stories converging.
Check ball.
Both men training intensely.
Move it. The ground is hot.
Both men headed for the same goal, the heavyweight championship of the world. On November 6th, their 2 stories again unite to become one. All right, we bring you back live to ringside at Tulsa, Oklahoma. HBO's World Championship Boxing continuing from here. Still live at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. The 2 combatants for next Saturday night, champion Riddick Bowe and challenger Evander Holyfield. Evander, I'll start first with you this time. There are reports that in an effort to get past the bigger man, bigger punch advantage that most people believe Riddick had against you last year, you'll be heavier this time around. Some say you're going to come in at an unprecedented 220 pounds plus against Riddick. Is there a need for you to be a bigger man this time?
Well, no, I think people got it all wrong, Dave, looking at the point of weight. I don't think the weight would make a difference so much. I had more time to prepare and got a chance to use the weight this fight, and I'm a lot stronger and I'm a lot better, but I feel that it's not the weight, it's the ability that, the ability I have and the things that I have to do to win.
So the great attributes you've always relied on in the past, no secret, your heart, your will, your stamina, your willingness to stay in there for 12 rounds, that's going to be what you rely on again.
Well, that and, my boxing skills. I do move a little bit. I can box, and at times where that I felt that was important to go toe-to-toe and to let a guy know that, I'm there.
All right, Riddick, let's talk about your weight. There were reports that you came to training camp at something like 290 pounds plus and have gotten down more than 50 pounds from that. What is the overall picture about your weight, and is it a concern?
Well, it's not really a concern, but let me just say this to you. For the last Holyfield fight, to make everybody happy, I came in at 235. This year, I'm going to please Riddick Bowe. I think the most important thing for myself is to be in great shape. I'm going to come in at whatever my weight is, 245, 250, and I think I'll be stronger for that.
All right, gentlemen, we thank you both very, very much for your time this evening. I know it's not terribly comfortable for the two of you to sit there for more than an hour together before you're getting ready to fight a little bit more than a week down the road. We're really appreciative that you're able to do it.
Thank you.
Okay. Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, all of you who are boxing fans will be looking forward to seeing them again next Saturday night. George, conventional wisdom in the sport is bigger man, bigger punch. The same thing is going to happen again. Why should this be any different?
Not so. Boxing was invented for the smaller man to whip the big guy. A big guy does not need the art of self-defense. If Evander really practiced well, he can win this thing.
What would be the one thing that Evander would have to do better than he did a year ago?
He's going to have to go back to the basics. You move, you jump, you hit combinations, and get out of there. Do not mix it up with the big opponent. It's not necessary.
All right, let's turn to our own smaller man, Larry. Why would this be any different than what we saw last November 13th?
Well, I just can echo what George said. The conventional wisdom is that the man who wins the first time will win more convincingly the second time, particularly when there's a younger, bigger, stronger fighter. If Evander Holyfield fights this time the way he fought George, the way he fought Buster Douglas, staying outside, jumping in and out, rallying, then he has his best chance. I don't know how good a chance that is, but I do know this. Evander Holyfield has never been in a bad fight. Whatever happens, even if this fight doesn't get to another 10th round, it'll be a fight.
If it's only 1/3 as good as what we saw last year, I, for one, can't wait to see it. Bowe Holyfield 2, next Saturday night, November 6th, in Las Vegas, Nevada. And coming up here, live from Tulsa, Tommy Morrison in a 12-round fight against fellow heavyweight Michael Bent. Morrison trying to move one step closer to a potential matchup after the first of the year with WBC World Heavyweight Champion Lennox Lewis. As we get ready for Morrison and Bent, Larry Merchant, I'll start off with you. Tommy Morrison arouses a great deal of excitement.